Welcome back, critters, to another edition of Crafts and Critters with your host, Christine. We're going to start our second of the Thanksgiving crafts, and let me show you what I got here. I'm going to change the camera down a little bit. Alright, so what I did is I have found this. I believe, Party City had this. It was so cute. It was like $3. So, we're gonna make it like a little Thanksgiving tree. So, I have a foam cone. This is the medium-sized foam cone. So I got this one at Hobby Lobby. Set that up to the side here. I found a package of foam balls, and there's a lot more in here actually. Here's the rest of them. So there's two sizes. There's the small, and then these were the large ones. I'm not going to use the large, so I'm just going to set those aside for another project, and we're just going to use these small ones. I have some sequins. This batch of sequins came from Dollar Tree. However, in the mix, there's no green, and there's definitely green in the balls. So I picked up some green sequins at Hobby Lobby. They have sequins that are very inexpensive. So hold on 1 second here, and I'm just mixing in this batch of green. I'm trying to get them all. And I want to mix it so that it's random when I pull the sequence. And you know what? I'm not seeing a whole lot of green. I'm going to add some more green. As soon as I find what I did with it. There it is. Alright. Hold on, I stapled the end shut so that it didn't like bounce out everywhere. Alright. Whoa, that might be too much. Actually, no, that's good. Alright. So we have a good amount of sequins now, and I'm definitely like seeing the green. Which will definitely match the balls a lot more. So there's that. And so we're going to start with this. And what we're going to do for that is I have, these came from the Dollar Tree, so they're just the glass gems. We need to weigh the vase down. So, I call it a vase, but tin. It's a tin. Need the whole bag. Alright, and then we're going to take a foam round. This one also came from a Dollar Tree. And we're going to squish it down on top of those gems. And try to get it in as far as you can. And then we're going to be putting this on top. But I'm not going to do that until I'm done kind of working with it. So the next part is going to be definitely dealing with the tree. So we're just going to set this aside. And it's pretty heavy now with all those gems inside. So we're going to set that aside. And I need to cover this. Got gems all over, or glitter all over the place, or sequins. Okay, so I don't want the white to show. So you can't use spray paint. Reason being that it'll eat away at the foam. I could try painting it. That's an option. But there's so many crevices that I think it would take a really long time to do. So I'm going to use some Fat Eighths fabric to cover this. I mean, it would be better with a fat quarter, but I didn't want to wait to have them cut the fabric, and this was the only brown I could find. So we're going to, I have a little box of pins because I might have to pin it in place while we're working with it. So we're going to just start it. I do want it to overlap a little bit on the bottom. So let me turn around. So we want it to overlap a little bit at the bottom so that we can fold it under. And I'm going to pin this real quick. And I'm going to pin it down here. Pinning is not the method we're going to take. I was trying to think of the best way. So there it is, pin. I just wanted to be able to tightly kind of work with the fabric. And you know what? I'm really not liking this line kind of is swooshing up on the fabric. And I don't see that it's going to come out. You know what? I'm going to pause the camera here. I'm going to grab my iron. I'm going to iron this, this 1/8 out. And then I'm probably going to iron one more too because I'm not sure this is going to be enough fabric to cover. It could be as I wrap it around and cut some off, but I'm going to iron out 2 of these. So I'm going to be back on. And then I'm also going to get the what we're going to attach this with and pull that out, and I'll be right back. Okay, critters, so I got my iron out, and here's our fabric, and I'm going to definitely iron out the creases in this to give us a little smooth surface to work with. So I have some Eileen's Best Press, and I'm just using a little bit. And as you can see, it really took that wrinkle out. So I'm going to flip this around here. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of space here to work with. My craft table is a little small, especially for ironing. And of course, I need a smaller, like, I think, craft iron. Alright, so there's that side. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do the other side, and then I'm going to clean up my iron and clean up my ironing surface, maybe get my iron all cooled off, and then I will be right back, alright? Okay, critters, so iron's all put away. And our fabric is nice and crisp, so, and flat. So we're going to work with this, and I'm going to overlap it a little bit on the end. It's not by much. I think this is what, less than 1/2 inch. A little over. Let's bring it up a little bit. I think just a 1/2 inch overlap. Yeah, that'll be good. All right, and I'm going to go with like the tacky glue. I think the tacky glue is going to be the best for this. So we're going to give it a try. And I'm just going to go over it. I'm going to put a fair amount, and I think I'm going to take a brush and just kind of smooth it out a little bit. Alright, and let's go ahead and see if we get our fabric on. And I am putting my fabric, I'm starting it at a slight angle because of the cone. And that is grabbing hold of fabric really nicely, so I'm going to continue. next section here, and we're just going to do little sections at a time. Oops. With the fabric and the glue. Make sure you get glue right at the end of the cone. Alright. Just take the next section and smooth the fabric down as you go. And you want the fabric flat. We're really not going to see the fabric by the time we're done attaching everything. The main point of the fabric is just so that we don't see the white, because if we didn't use it, there's going to be little spots of white in between the sequences and the balls. We don't want that. If we want to see anything, we'll see the brown, which will look like a tree. Now your fabric, of course, is not going on straight, so it's not going to match up when we get to the other side. And that's because of the cone. We're going to have to cut it, and that's going to be perfectly fine. As you can see, it's going on an angle. Let me show you. See, it's going on an angle. Here's where we started, and I'm coming up. And we're just going to trim the bottom. We'll trim the bottom up. And it'll be really nice. And we'll use, it looks like I'm going to have some fabric left on this 1/8. So I'm going to be able to use it to cover the top of the tree. And it is holding, now that I've gotten around to the other side, that glue is really holding this fabric on. Okay, we're just going to go slow. And I'm almost to the other side here. Alright. I'm there. And you could see like where we started and where we ended. It's in the shape of a cone. I am going through now, and there's some spots here that need to be pulled. I just want the fabric to be very, very snug. All right. Grab our scissors, and we're going to follow and cut. And we want to do a straight cut. I'm kind of eyeballing a straight cut here as much as possible. Try to be straight. And then we're going to come in now with the brush and seal, and kind of seal that. I'm going to put a little bit of glue, and I'm going to come in with the brush, kind of brush that down. So the glue this time is going right on top of the other piece of fabric to match it. And there we go. We've got a smooth seam. So now we need to deal with the top part of the rest of the cone, and we want to start where we started with the first piece, because we're going to have that wrap that's going to come down. And I'm going to check right now and see if I have enough fabric on this piece. And we want it to overlay on the top of the cone too. And I'm not sure if that will, actually yes, it will. All right, so let's start with the glue. I think this would have been easier if I put some on a plate. All right. And when we're doing this too, I'm going to overlay a little bit of glue onto the bottom piece of the fabric so that it kind of smooths together. Make sure you get your top. All right, here we go. We want to do make sure you have your fabric sides correct. So again, if it is seen, bit more. All right, here we go. All right, smooth that down. I'm going to flip our fabric over and continue with glue. I am holding right here. I'm putting my finger there to hold the seam. Here's our next. I'm going to take my finger off of that piece. And we're just going to continue folding over the fabric and smoothing it out. And we're going to get ready for the next section of glue. Almost there. All right, last section, and then we'll cut off the excess and deal with the top and the bottom. I'm going to put a little glue on the seam here too. All right. All right, so there's that. I'm going to cut this excess off now. And again, we want to try to go straight down for cutting. We're just going to go under and kind of get this piece to lay flat. All right, there we go. Now we need to deal with the top of the cone here. So we're going to cut a little of this excess fabric off because we don't need all of that. And what I'm going to do for the top is literally just stick a pin in it. Dealing with all these layers, and I'm just going to stick a pin right in there, and that's going to hold it. And we're not going to see much of, I'm going to stick another one in there. You won't see much of that anyway. Let's trim that little piece off. And maybe add a little glue just to get it lay flat. Okay, now at the bottom, I'm going to trim this so it's all even. Or not completely even, but more even than it was before. All right, and then we're going to glue this part down too. So let's brush that even. And we're going to just fold. Start on one side and just kind of press it in and fold. You're not going to see this part. It will be covered, but it does give us a nice clean rounded edge here. And we're going to need a little bit more glue. Just to get those edges down. See what I'm doing? There's some sticking up. So I'm just brushing it down with the glue, and that will help. Okay, and this is going to need a little time to dry before we can continue with the next part. Just because I want the fabric and everything to harden and onto the cone, and I think that'll be good. I'm not sure how I'm gonna. I think I'm just gonna wing it. I think it'll be fine. I don't want to send it upright because the glue at the bottom was very thick. So that's it for now. I will be back when the cone is dry, and we're going to start adding on all of our glitter balls and sequences. And in the same time, I think too, while it's drying, I'm going to take the sequence and put them on pins so that I can just basically kind of stick away, and that will be kind of what I'll do while it's drying. Is just kind of get myself kind of started with that. I'm also going to change my camera angle too, so that you're kind of looking down on the project, which will help when we get to the next section. So I will be back. Okay, critters, so our tree is dry, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be looking up a little bit the camera here to make sure I get it angled so you can see. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to take some ordinary twine, and we're going to fasten this to the top just with a little pin. You could also use a piece of tape, and we're going to, whoops, that did not hold very well. Let's go a little further in so it doesn't, and then not pull as hard. And then we're just going to spin it around the tree, get it to whatever angle you would like, and pin it at the bottom as well. And I'm going to add a couple of pins throughout just to make sure it doesn't move on me. And the purpose of this is our guide. I want the tree to be, I want all the rolls to be spiraled. So we are going to use this as a guide, and then once we get our first few rows on, we'll take the guide off, and we'll be able to just follow along with the row that we've already got into place. So there's our guide, and we're going to start up here at the top, and I'm going to start with the sequence first, and I kind of fasten some sequence together, and I'm going to try to grab these, and we're just going to place and push in our sequence, and it is going to be randomly placed. I'm not going to try to color anything, and to keep pushing in sequence after sequence. And that one I didn't like placement, I didn't go straight in. I'm hoping you could see this. So there's our sequence. And I'm just gonna, now what I wanted to do was the width of the ball is pretty wide. So I think as I'm doing the sequin rows, I'm going to actually do them too wide. So we're going to do two rows next to each other of the sequence. Oops, and if I drop any, I drop any. And then we'll go and do a row of the balls. Now the balls are 3 colors, so I am going to definitely be placing these color by color, kind of just following along and making sure that, because it's easy like to do that since it's 3 colors. It's so those will be coordinated down the line. So I just want to get a small row of the sequins here going, so I can do a row of the balls next to it, and you can see kind of how this is going to turn out. And then after I do get kind of going here, and you can see, you are seeing the fabric, but the fabric is so much nicer than seeing that white if we didn't do that kind of step. Okay, one thing I'm noticing here as I go further down is the sequins don't always line up, but that's okay because of the curve. Okay, so we got a good start here on the row. So I'm going to grab one of the balls, and I think let me just grab one of each color here. I think I just do, and these ones we are going to hot glue on. And you're going to press it in a little bit and hold. And make sure it sets before moving on to the next. I'm going to go with the green next. And I'm putting the hot glue on the ball and then pushing it in to the fabric now. And you want to make sure you get it even. So this is what it's turning out. So I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to go and pause, and I'm going to work on this when I'm about, when I start like the next row of sequence, I'll check back in so that you could see how it's coming along, and you could see how the spiral turned out all the way down. I got some hot glue on the top of that one. I'm just trying to peel it off while it's still warm. Alright, so that's how it's gonna be. So I definitely 2 rows of the sequins, 1 of the balls, and going in a spiral pattern, and that's what I'm gonna work with. I'll check back with you as soon as I get the first, these first 3 lines done of the spiral, so that you can kind of see where it's at, and that's what I'm gonna be taking off the guideline as well. Alright, I wanted to do an update here, and this is where I'm at. I've done 2 rows of the balls, 4 rows of the sequins, and going all the way down, it's starting to look really nice. I haven't taken the guide off yet. I'm going to do that now. And then I'm going to continue. I'll give another update as soon as I get a little bit more on. I just don't want to be online doing or kind of actually doing this step by step. It takes a very long time to get the sequence on, very little time getting the balls on. So here's our update. All right, critters, here it is. It's all finished. So something to take note of. The bottom also, you know, it's wider than the top. So kind of had to spiral in. So there's a break there, and you'll see it again like in here. But as you move it around, you really don't see it. I did have to go and purchase another bag of the balls because I didn't have enough of the smalls. So I took about 2-pack, and I used almost all of the second bag of the smalls. So it took about 2 bags of that. I would say that there's about 1,000 sequences, just a rough estimate there, that were placed on here. So we are going to bring this back over, and we're going to add some leaves to the top of this before putting on the tree. So I'm going to start with some bigger leaves. And, oh, you know what, my glue gun is not hot enough yet. So I will be right back in 1 second as soon as the glue gun's. Okay, so the glue gun is hot. So I'm going to go ahead and start with some leaves. I set this one further in. There we go. And I'm using a mixture of these leaves over here. These ones are all from the Dollar Tree, and these ones here came from Hobby Lobby. So they're different. Hobby Lobby or Dollar Tree, all the leaves are pretty much the same size, just different colors. They had some burlap ones in there. The ones from Hobby Lobby, there's all kinds of different sizes and different colors in them, which I like kind of combining them a little bit together because I think that makes kind of a little bit of a nice contrast. And I'm not sure quite how much of the, well, actually you're going to be seeing quite a bit of the leaves. So try to get more towards the edge. All right, now I'm going to turn it, and we definitely, you know, our turkey is the front. There's no other turkey on there but that. So this is definitely the front of some here. I was looking for the ones that have the, you don't have to get really in the center. You want around the edge, just to cover up, and just to kind of make it stick out, and it'll just add a nice little touch to it. You can see it'll just add like a little nice touch to the bottom. And I'm just kind of placing it on every now and then because like here I want another leaf there. Now let's see what else I got in here. I like this orange one that's in here. Let's grab that. Guess there were two of them there. And let's turn this. And we're going to clean up the strings here in a second from the glue. Alright, I think that'll do it. Yeah. Alright. And let me get some of the glue off from the strings. Alright. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more of a security. So we are going to, I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue here, and I'm going to stick a couple of skewers in here. And I'm going to move the leaves a little bit. Oops. It's prevented me from doing that. Hold on. Let me. There we go. And you want to make sure that we're centering it. And I actually want to adjust this. You want to make sure that you get the side that you want towards the front. I'm going to add a little glue down here to help it all stick. All right, here we go. And there we go. Fold down the leaves. And we're not done yet. We need a topper. So we're going to first put a few leaves up there, but we're going to use the really small ones. And I might have to, let me adjust. There we go. Okay, we're not going to put too many up here, just enough to kind of cover. Hold on, I'm going to take this down 1 second. Or no, let me stand up and work on this. Get some yellow. Okay. All right. There's the very top of our tree. Oh, that's so much better. Okay. All right. Mr. Scarecrow is going to go on the very top. He's got a long stick, and I definitely don't want that. So I'm going to trim and do some trimming here. Hold on. I tried removing the stick, and it didn't work. used. And we're going to go back in between these leaves here because I got to get him pushed in. Alright, I'm going to grab a little knife here. I'm going to push them in, and then I'm going to pull them back out, put some glue on it, and stick them in for the final. I'm struggling here to get him in. And the problem is that the stick that he's sitting on is so thick. That'll do it. Yeah, I'm really having a hard time. You know what? Maybe I think it'll look okay with just what's showing. Yeah, that's fine. Let me show you what I got here. Okay, there he is. So a little of this stick is showing up at the top. I was hoping to really push him down and sitting on top, but it's just not going to happen. Yeah, he's not going to go any further. But that's okay. We got the leaves covering the top. He still looks like he's sitting up there. You see a little bit more from the back. And I actually could probably place maybe a pumpkin back there and have him sitting on a pumpkin. Let's see here. If I did that, hold on. I carve into this pumpkin here. And see if I can just get half of the pumpkin back there. I'm either going to ruin this pumpkin or it's going to look good. So, give me 1 second. Where are you? I got it covered here. All right. Just going with what I can do here. Let's see here. And what I'm going to do, turn him around so you can see. So I'm going to actually put his pant glue his pant right to that spot. And you won't notice that we had to kind of desection off the pumpkin in order to get it around his post. And now it looks like he's sitting on top of a pumpkin. So just a little alternative. I'm just pulling off some of the little webbing here from the glue gun and cleaning it up a little bit, so I will do that off camera the rest of the way. And I hope you enjoyed. I know this took a very long time to make. I would make another one. So there we go. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this craft. If you did, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. If you've made something similar, let me know. If you would change something, let me know. And thanks.